hello here from Leipzig, from the DSAG SAP Speaking Usergroup yearly conference. This is our very first crossover episode. I'm sitting here with Martin Fischer, host of the very popular Coffee Corner radio show. And yeah, my name is Holger Bruchelt. I'm representing the SAP on Azure podcast. And since both of us were here at the DSAG conference, we thought it would be nice to have a joint episode.
Yeah. So far, we just managed to be guests on the other podcasts. So I was guest at your video podcast.
Yes.
You were guest at my podcast. So now the first episode together. I think that's cool.
Perfect.
It's day 3, early morning, the day after the party night. So
not everyone is here yet.
Yeah, we found a more or less silent area here, and yeah, let's start.
Perfect. So as you said, we are at day 3. 2 days ago, the keynote started. Jens Hungershausen started the keynote. I think he welcomed the 4,000th member of DSAG, the Johanniter, here as a member of DSAG, which I think is a huge number. There were some fun introductions when the Johanniter came on the stage, that they are also working for catastrophes, basically to support catastrophes. So they thought it was a good place to also join the SAP community now, which caused a lot of laughs, I would say. But
there were it was the whole audience, and that's the whole audience is also very impressive. It's the biggest annual conference from DSAG ever. We have more than 5,000 attendees here. It's quite impressive, especially in the keynote hall.
Exactly, and we'll come to that in a second. Yeah. I mean, this year you were also a keynote speaker, so you were really on the huge stage there in front of 5,000 people.
Yeah.
So I think that was also cool. But that was on the second day. On the first day, I think Jens started to talk about the DSAG survey results. So every year, DSAG asks their members from Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. They asked about, especially obviously S/4HANA, the S/4HANA cloud strategy, for example, how well the digitization is going with customers. And I think one of the things that Jens highlighted was definitely that still the S/4HANA cloud strategy is not yet super well received with customers at the moment. I think he showed a number like 48% of customers were not yet or saw the SAP S/4HANA cloud strategy for their company as negative at the moment. So I think there's still a lot of work that needs to be done to convince customers of the S/4HANA cloud strategy, at least in the DACH region.
Yeah, I fully agree. Maybe even change some things, not only convince them, because they try hard since years. I'm not that convinced if they are convincible about that in the end.
And then obviously there was a lot of talk about AI, how AI is changing some of the industries already, how important AI is becoming, but also how there are a lot of customers in Germany that have some reservations when it comes to AI. So I think one of the key points, again, there was more transparency to really show more what is required, how can customers benefit from AI, also more use cases. And I think that was also one of the key things that Jens mentioned there.
Yeah. And real use cases where SAP is not only saying we have whatever number of AI use cases implemented, but really show the customer the value they get from these scenarios,
exactly.
I think.
Yeah. Then I think again, one of the results of the survey was that they also asked how well is the collaboration going with partners. And I think that was actually pretty good. I think 3/4 or 76% of the customers answered that they are really happy with the collaboration with their partners. Also maybe to be a bridge towards SAP to help them navigate to some of the questions that SAP is bringing up to them.
Yeah, and I think that's also good good segue to the actual theme or motto of the conference. So it's about now I'm missing my musical English vocabulary, to be honest. I started the discussion.
Der Dreiklang.
Dreiklang, sorry, I don't know that, but in English.
3 notes played all together.
Yeah, which includes SAP, the customers, and in the end, the partners. And that's also a first for DSAG. I would say the relation was complicated in the past sometimes between partners and DSAG to some extent. That changed rapidly over the last years and in a good way. And DSAG is really also appreciating the contribution from partners like us in the end. And it's became part of the theme of the whole conference, and we will come to more later.
But I think that's actually a really, really important point, because I think not only DSAG but also SAP. I mean, SAP has always, partners have always played a big role for SAP, but I think with this huge transformation that we're going through right now, I think that's where partners are really becoming more and more important here. And honestly, for me, there are so many parallels. If I look at Microsoft, when Microsoft started to switch to Microsoft 365, so from this classic, we implement an Office suite like every 3 years, and all is on premise, and now all of a sudden it was all Microsoft 365. It was subscription based. There actually partners also played a super important role. And I think Microsoft actually did a fairly good job to work with the partners, to work with the partner communities, to leverage them also to help customers through this migration. And I think in the meantime, Microsoft 365 is established. And I hope that with DSAG, with SAP, they also really see the value of the partners now and embrace them to, in the end, help the customers through this transformation to S/4HANA, cloud, and so on.
Yeah. Right.
Good, and I think that's exactly then after Jens Hungershausen, so the board member of DSAG. After that came Thomas Saueressig, board member of SAP, and I think he started with one slide. You can always ask, look, now is not the right time to do changes because this is happening or that is happening. But he was basically saying, look, the right time to change is now. So you need to do this now. And he showed a lot of customers that are already using SAP Cloud solutions. And then he also had this section of Mythbusters.
Yeah. That was an interesting one, to be honest. Thomas brought some 3 myths to the stage and said, we are not supporting on-prem anymore. First myth, where he said, that's not true. We delivered a lot of innovations, and I don't remember the number. And honestly, I also don't know how you count innovation. That's for me a bit of a secret, SAP secret, how to count innovations and what did they deliver. But he came up with a number at least, and he said, there's even on-prem innovation happening. This relates somehow to the second point. I think Thomas mentioned also the legal changes.
Oh yes, you're right.
But legal changes, and I think there is a clear opinion within DSAG, and also I fully agree with this opinion that legal changes are part of the maintenance fee customers are paying, and that's not an innovation, and that's not what DSAG is asking for.
Yeah, but coming to the next point, that innovation is only happening in the cloud. There actually, I need to defend him, because I think at least that's what we see in parts also with working with SAP. So for example, the Teams integration that we have in S/4HANA, or also now the Copilot integration that we have in S/4HANA. Yes, we clearly start with S/4HANA public cloud, for example, but SAP, at least for the Teams integration, they downported it and made these innovations also available with S/4HANA on-premise edition, basically, or the private cloud edition. So there is innovation also from this channel. I mean, it takes longer, but in this case, it's a cloud first, basically. They start with S/4HANA Public Cloud, and then later on, it's also available for the private cloud edition.
Yeah, but I think DSAG's and Jens' point in the end was not that there is no innovation at all on-prem, but that there are certain offerings like the AI stuff where SAP says, okay, it's only available for RISE customers, and it's only available for the additional subscription, which is, I think, called RISE Premium Plus. I think that's the point here from DSAG. So in the end, it's a bit mixing up things, but I think there's a clear strategy behind from SAP side, and DSAG will not stop complaining about it. I think as far as I see things at the moment, to be honest.
Yeah.
And the third one was that the end of ECC maintenance is an artificial date, where he said, no, that's not true, because there are also dependencies to other vendors, database vendors, whatever, Java stack, and so on. And there, the maintenance for some of those products also end, or the agreements they have are running out.
Yeah.
I personally think these arguments were a bit artificial. Because I think I mean we are talking about enterprise software, and there were, in the end, they are all business people in the audience listening to it. I think it would be just a bit more honest if SAP would say, it costs us a lot of money to maintain two big products.
Yep.
And we have S/4HANA now for more than 10 years already, and it's 16 if you when the extended maintenance of ECC ends. It's just a very big investment from our side, which binds resources also at SAP side, and in the end, these resources cannot deliver other stuff. I think because I think if SAP asked for another agreement with any other database vendor, they would get it.
I would assume so. Exactly. Yeah.
So, but these were the three myths. In general, I would say was not too good received from the audience, this part of the keynote, but that's a difference between SAP events and DSAG events. I would say that there's
but I think that's also good. I mean, that's why I actually love the DSAG events, because there you get honest feedback, and you get a lot of feedback that you can leverage to also improve your products, basically. And I mean, I'll talk later on about what we had on our SAP on Microsoft track. And that was also really, really great to hear from customers, not only the good actually, but also some complaints. And I as a product manager can use this information to make our products better in the end.
You agree. Then, of course, there was business AI.
I was just going to say, it has to, in any keynote, you have to put AI in.
Yeah, of course. It didn't play the big role as last week at TechEd. I think there was also a demo I personally didn't like too much, because I think this use case is not really a use case where a manager uses tool to give positive feedback to one of the team members. Then it showed up in the in success factors, whatever, how you call that, personal records or something like that. There, it took for me ages to provide that feedback. I think I personally, as a manager, would just send a chat message, which would be 10 times faster. But in the end, you see how it gets integrated. The tool stuff with success factors. And
I think we'll learn. I mean, I think SAP is also testing a lot of scenarios right now. They are looking at what could be good solutions, good use cases for an AI integration. And there will be some good, and there will be some that do not work so well.
Yeah, right.
Good. Then already on the first day, actually, this time we had our we from the Microsoft side, we had our own SAP on Microsoft track, and there we had actually 3 sessions. The first one was from DKV Mobility. Sönke Iversen talked about SAP and analytics with Azure. That was actually really, really fascinating how like 3 years ago they started their project, how to leverage Power BI, how to leverage Azure Data Lakes, and also the journey, the story, how their lessons learned, like what went well and how did they approach the business, how did they work with the different colleagues and teams within their company to make this a success. Then we had Jens Hittmeier from KWS SAT, who also had a really cool scenario because he talked about integrating IBP, the business technology platform, but also Azure and Power Apps to really create an end-to-end solution for their employees to easily track changes, to work with contracts. They basically hand out Word documents that the end user can just fill out, and then these Word documents are translated via Power Apps, via some other Azure services, via BTP in the IBP tool. So that was also really, really cool. And then finally, Martin Pankratz and I had one last session where we talked about security. So a lot of Sentinel, a lot of Microsoft security solutions that work together with SAP, obviously. And I again talked about several artificial intelligence use cases. So obviously the Joule and Copilot piece, but then also Copilot Studio and SAP. We talked about the S/4HANA public cloud integration with Copilot. And there we also got a lot of really good questions from the audience. So I think that went also really, really well.
Cool.
Good. Then we come to day 2. And I think that started with your big event, basically.
Yeah. I was a bit of a special conference this year because I had the honor to be keynote speaker here in front of this huge audience. I guess there were around 4,000 attendees in the big keynote hall, and big stage. I had the pleasure to give the first partner keynote ever at the DSAG conference together with Florian Ascherl from EY. We are representing the partner advisory board, which got or was elected last year. So you are also part of it, and 3 other colleagues. So Florian, the 2 of us, and Freya, Thorsten, and Hinrich. We are doing what DSAG is doing in general, trying to establish communication channels in the end towards SAP and discuss requirements and needs and whatever feedback from partners in this case. And that's also a new thing. And we in the end we talked about what we are aiming for. We also mentioned that there are things to improve also on partner side, especially I think being aware of the latest SAP technology and strategy is something crucial also for the partners, and some of them are lacking it. But also on the other side, we had some feedback for SAP there, especially if it comes to strategical changes in the SAP strategy, which have an effect to the customer's to the partner's business model in the end. We are asking SAP for more earlier and more clear communication in the end. That's where I would say our main statements in the end of the keynote.
And I think this board of partners or whatever, it's translated, the Partnerbeirat. I think the
Partner Advisory Board.
Thank you. The cool thing is that we represent really very different partners. So it was clear that we need a partner for smaller build partners, for example, but we also need larger partners so that we can really represent the diverse, huge number of partners that are working with SAP. Again, now obviously here with the focus of the German-speaking market, but I think that also gives us a good way to represent these partners against or not against with SAP, and then have a good discussion with SAP also going forward.
True. Yeah, I think sometimes the partners are sitting a bit between the chairs because they're probably a bit closer to the customers because that's where the money comes from in the end.
Of course.
And many customers are still on-prem, even if they are on S4 already. But that makes it for partners sometimes pretty hard to follow SAP strategy. That was also part of the keynote in the end. We also had a partner track in the afternoon with 3 interesting sessions, updates regarding the Partner Edge program from SAP, which are coming, and also some feedback discussion we had. We also conducted a partner survey within the DSAG partners in the end, where we also shared some insight there. I assume there's more to come. I will not go into the details of the survey in the end, but in day 2 was for me kind of the partner day in the end.
But for me, this is also really good to see again. I think partners are very, very crucial in this journey, and with DSAG, also with SAP. I mean, SAP is also supporting this partner advisory board quite well. I mean, they had dedicated people joining us, supporting us, helping us, also preparing these sessions. So I think also SAP is really seeing how crucial partners are to help also work with the customers and highlight the benefits of this S/4HANA cloud transformation and all the challenges that come with it. So I think it's really great to see that there is now this partner advisory board, and I'm sure in the next few months we'll drive more and more interesting discussions and ideas there.
Yeah, I'm quite sure we are working now since a year. We need to establish first the relation towards also our SAP counterparts. We also realized it's rather new for the partner organization within SAP to work with user groups because I think DSAG is the first one who has this dedicated kind of group of partners, also collecting the feedback from different partners and approaching SAP on different topics. We are at the beginning of a journey. So now it's getting loud because the sessions are almost starting.
Day 3 is finally getting started, exactly. But I think that's already a good closing, actually. I mean, we covered day 1, day 2. Let's see what day 3 brings. But I hope that we covered already the most important thing. Today is no keynote. So
there's the
closing keynote. Yeah, you're right. But not in the morning.
Not in the morning, not after the party night, because I think the hall would be a bit empty. They also start a bit later in the meantime.
You're right. Yeah.
I remember 2 years ago I was there at 8:30 after only...
And you were there first?
I was only listening, thank God, but even that was already hard. I think we were in the same session there.
Yeah.
Well-known Christian Braukmüller had the pleasure to give a session at 8:30. Yeah. Well,
okay, cool.
So thank you, and thank you, Holger. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, Martin.
Different setup to have it on site, I would say. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
But actually, that's for me also one of the beautiful things, that in these events you not only get a lot of content from SAP or from customers, but you also meet colleagues again in person. You network with a lot of things, and that's great that we had now this very first time this crossover episode, basically.
Yeah. I also really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.